Staying with the head coach thing, we had a report thrown out there this week about Bill Belichick and his compensation, and it's kind of gotten conversation going that he's, about what coaches are worth.
Yep.
And someone speculated, okay, well, this guy could get this and that. And it was, well, Belichick makes way more than that, north of 20 million, maybe as much as 25 million. It's always been this great secret about what Bill makes. And the debate of, is he worth it? And certainly coming off a 7-9 year where they missed the playoffs and a string of drafts that haven't been successful, you might be able to criticize for the first time ever Belichick, the GM and the coach, as not living up to it. But every single year prior, it's really hard to make any sort of criticism that Bill hasn't earned every single dollar and then some.
Yep.
And this is a Patriots homer. I might argue that Belichick could be worth twice that in terms of his actual value to the team's success. I would imagine you could have put Belichick in any 2-win team situation this year, the Jags or the Jets, and they probably win 6 or 7. Or if you swapped out coaching staffs entirely and those teams win 6 or 7 games and the Patriots coached by Anthony Lynn win 1 or 2, it's not ridiculous to think he's worth 5 wins a year. What's that worth to you? A lot. So, but it comes into the ego of the Tom Brady situation. Did Brady know Belichick was making more? Did that irk him? Did that lead to his departure? So a lot of conversation flowing off of this one kind of innocuous, thing thrown out there this week. But your thoughts on what Belichick makes and whether or not it could possibly ruffle some feathers?
Yeah, I have no problem with what Belichick makes. I totally agree with you. He could be paid double. I mean, if Roger Goodell is making $40 to $50 million a year to operate the ATM machine in the NFL, then Belichick is worth 25, 30 million easy.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with that. And I also think what's interesting, because we talked about on Felger and Maz, and I remembered more later that there's an anecdote in Mike Lombardi's book that says that in Cleveland, and remember, this was Belichick's, either he was going into his first season or coming out of his first season in Cleveland when he was 6-10 and never a head coach before, that he said about a left tackle, Paul Farron, who is from Cohasset, by the way, fun fact, and BU product, that Belichick said, I have a real problem with Paul Farron making more than me. And this is Bill Belichick, neophyte head coach. He's already thinking that way. Is it a stretch to think that after winning a Super Bowl or more Super Bowls, that he wanted to be paid more than any other player on the team? And maybe perhaps had that written into his contract? I do not rule that out. And I think it's probably, in my opinion, likely. I don't have a problem with any of that. I don't. My problem would be when it came to Brady. And I think it was after 2015 or 20. It was one of the Ravens' losses. And he had that famous plane ride with Kraft. And Kraft said, look, we're not going to pay 18 to 20% of our salary cap on a quarterback. So if you want to be here, you're going to have to take less. And Brady thought about it and he said, okay, I'll do that. So, but if I'm Brady at the time, if I knew and I learned what Belichick made at some point in time, and he might have, I would have an issue with that. That here I am.
But the coach doesn't count against the cap, though. Why should that matter? The 18 to 20 figure is because I need to be able to build the team around you, and I'm just not willing to go there. Belichick could make $15 an hour, and they could still make that case. I don't know that one has anything to do with the other outside of ego.
I know people will make that point. They'll say apples and oranges. I just disagree. When you're talking about the quarterback, I just disagree with that. It's one thing to pay him less than Belichick. It's another thing to say, for us to be good as a team, you have to take less. Well, why can't Belichick take less? I mean, if you believe like I do that everything is part of the budget, and they're a business, I'm sure Belichick gets a budget before every season. This is your budget, coaches, players, what have you.
Yeah.
Why couldn't Belichick take less one year to put more towards players when the Patriots are like
if there is
among the last place teams in cash spending for the past 8 years? Like, why couldn't
that's if there is a budget, though? I mean,
there has to be. I mean, it's a business. The Crafts run businesses. There has to be a budget.
It is. And I mean, look, it's hard to make an argument that there isn't a budget because they don't spend to the cap most years, and they've been kind of middle of the pack team. So there's always a little bit of money left over there. And if that is part of the reason that they're not willing to get there because they pay so much to Belichick, then that would be a problem. But if they maxed out their cap and paid out as much as they could in salaries, I don't think it matters.
Yeah, but I mean, I get that. But my main point is, like, look, if you're asking Tom Brady after being the quarterback for 3 Super Bowl wins, and it gets in the whole, who was more, like, who weighed more. And I think we all have come down on they both needed each other. Yep. And so they both should have been sort of partners in that. And that includes pay. I mean, I that's just something I believe. I'm sure people will disagree with it. But, I mean, they didn't need to be paid the same. But there's no way that Brady, who was still in his prime, should be asked to take a pay cut to bail out, I don't know, maybe Belichick's personnel failings. And Bill Belichick gets to make $25 million a year. Like, I don't think that's fair. I don't think Brady thought that kind of stuff was fair. And I think his salary definitely factored in the thing. I mean, he didn't make over $20 million in any season until his last season, where basically he put a gun to their head and said, I'm not getting on a plane to Tennessee for this preseason game unless you pay me more money. So let's do it. So, what happened?